IVM.
Welcome to All Things Policy, a daily podcast by the Takshashila Institution. We are a bunch of policy nerds based in Bengaluru, and we like bringing fresh perspectives to Indian affairs and Indian perspectives to global affairs. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and join us for today's chat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of All Things Policy. I'm Suman, your host for today. We live in very interesting times, and every sphere has become a battleground for assertion and reinforcement of identity. The concepts of nations, nationality, and citizenship are being redefined in many ways. An idea that runs counter to this is the idea of dual citizenship. The External Affairs Minister recently has made some interesting comments when asked about India granting dual citizenship. To explore this idea further, I have with me my colleagues Saurabh and Khyati. Hi Saurabh, hi Khyati. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Suman.
Hi, Suman.
So to begin with, what is, what are, why, to begin with, there are 50%, close to 50% of the nations in the world give dual citizenship. What is actually the concept of dual citizenship, and why is it important or to understand this itself? Saurabh, can you start off?
Yeah. Thanks, Suman. So I think the idea of dual or multiple citizenship is that an individual is granted the right to be called a citizen of more than one country. Usually, you would think that the country that you were born in, or the country that you are living, or is the country of your parents, would be your country of citizenship. But this idea of dual or multiple citizenship says that you can be a citizen of more than one country at a single time, and it comes with certain, let's say, benefits and rights and responsibilities of all the countries that you are claiming to be a citizen of, and then the countries have granted you that right.
Sure, that helps with understanding what this concept of dual citizenship is. First off, on top of my mind, what are some benefits you think as an individual you get as a dual citizen? Khyati, can I bring you in here?
Yeah. So I would like to first just add a little bit to what Saurabh has said, right? Sometimes, like in India, I think our dominant way of looking at citizenship is that we look at it as a very exclusive thing. You know, if you are a citizen of one country, most Indians would have a strong feeling that, you cannot be a citizen of
Means
two
to
different.
exclude rather than include.
Yes, it is a way that, if it is a one kind of a allegiance that is unique, you cannot have multiple allegiance of this sort with citizenship, right? But I feel like a lot of countries, in fact, in many situations, right, naturally a person can fall into the bracket where he or she can meet the citizenship criteria of multiple countries. For example, if the two parents of a child are belonging to two different nationalities, right, then by descent they would have the right to choose either of the citizenship. So in that sense, I feel in principle there is nothing really that makes dual citizenship a problem, because it can arise because of natural circumstances of a person. So whether countries identify that kind of dual citizenship is a policy choice that different countries make based on their historical context and everything. But I think in principle, the idea is not really that controversial, is what I feel. And about the positives of having a dual citizenship, right? So for example, if we think about specifically in the context of India, and India does not give dual citizenship, but to give you a context, about 8.8 lakh Indians have given up their citizenship from 2015 to 2021. And a lot of these people are highly skilled workers who are working in healthcare or IT or legal or finance industry. And the main reason that they are giving this up, because they are migrating to another country because of economic reasons, right? And
Opportunities.
they are migrating to the top four countries that they are migrating to are USA, Canada, Australia, and UK. None of which demand that these people terminate their citizenship of the home country. They are just ready to have them as they are, because they see that these are highly skilled people. They are going to be potentially productive citizens of their country, and they value that. Okay, but it is a burden that India placing on them, that if they have to take up this citizenship, they have to give up India's citizenship, right? So as a country, India, I mean, maybe there was a historical reason why India must have chosen to take this policy, but as times have changed, we can look at these people as, our own people going to another country, becoming global citizens, and we holding on to them and keeping the Indian citizenship as a bond that still ties them to India, thereby increasing their incentives to come back to India, maybe set up businesses in India, maybe their children can also come back and have Indian citizenship. So I think this kind of an open approach is something that we should not be we should try to explore this option, is what I feel.
Yeah, from an individual's perspective, I feel like a person who has dual citizenship has specific advantages in the sense that travel opportunities increase because a lot of countries don't have visa restrictions for certain kind of passports and all that. So that becomes a little bit of just becomes a little easier to travel. Business opportunities too. You can establish a business and work in both countries. So borders are not a barrier for you to be working or studying or any of those things. And in times of emergency, you want to avail of something, or you don't want to be in these lengthy visa procedures. For example, if you want to avail of some kind of medical opportunity and you have citizenship, then medical the medical service that you need to, but you're constrained from it because you don't have a visa. Those kind of situations, I think, from an individual perspective, those kind of situations will help it if individuals have dual citizenship, right? Like from purely a personal point of view. But I think there are other aspects to this which we need to really look at when we look at it from a public policy lens, right? So what do you think are some of the problems that come about? Of course, there is a geopolitical aspect of it, which says that if you are in, say, India and an adversary country, I don't know if the term is right, but adversary country, then those kind of relationships become a little messy, right? Or a little complex. So that's one thing that I can think of. Are there other such situations you think that this can get messy or is so complicated?
Yeah, so I was thinking that, there are certain kind of expectations and responsibilities that the state has. Sorry, the people have the expectation from the state, and state kind of gives a certain set of responsibilities to its citizens. And if you have a dual citizenship, then I think India, given our low state capacity and our level of development, what we are doing essentially is uh, burdening us with a lot more responsibility of people who may not be even living in India, or their connection to India is like not very strong. With which I mean that they're either a dual citizen, or they are like a OCI person or whatnot. So there's also a risk of foreign policy entanglement. If a dual citizen of, let's say, India and USA says something uh, which is detrimental to the to Indian national interest, or has a effect on the US policy regarding India, or it makes relationships awkward between India and US, how would you handle? Right. So, I mean, these are obviously like not very regular cases. These are edge cases, but we have to also account for the fact that not everything will blow up or will be like a news. But the point simply is that, are we ready to be in a situation where our citizens would be simultaneously involved in the political setup of other countries, and that may impact our domestic and foreign policy as well. So, for example, the I mean, it's specific example, but the Israel US, right? So the dual US Israeli
Citizen.
citizens.
Hmm.
I mean, because of that specific situation, it does kind of constrain the. I mean, there is obviously a lot more to it than just this, but the point is that in any situation like that, the US policy would be constrained by what a significant number of dual Israeli American citizens feel, because those have strong affinity to with their home country and are citizens of that country while being a citizen of the US and being able to vote.
Hmm.
So
So
if
basically,
yeah,
so I think basically you are trying to say that this can create a center of political influence in another country, or it is citizens of other country can in a way in influence the politics of our country.
on on both sides. So for example, we might be influenced by Indians who have a dual citizenship of some other country, because their interest may not completely align with the interest of just India, which would be India's national interest. And the other way around would also be true, where citizens of other countries who are also a dual citizen of India would be able to in vote in India, and let's say run for office or influence politics while not being affected by it directly, because they may not be living in India. So that kind of institutionally that becomes like a huge problem.
Yeah, but I feel that is not a problem specifically related to dual citizenship. It can even happen just by having a very big population of our people who are probably not the citizens of United States, but they are living there, right? And if because they have long-term visas and stuff like that, right? So even by being having an immigrant community in another country, there is a similar dynamic that can play out. So I don't think that this is specific to.
No, I agree. I agree with you that I mean, obviously, I think having a huge diaspora like India does kind of complicate our foreign policy as well. So
Yeah.
it's not that it doesn't complicate, but I'm just saying that the fact that those people who are outside the diaspora, they are still Indian citizens. Being a sovereign state, there is a responsibility that India has to her citizens, and other countries also recognize the fact that okay, you are advocating for your citizens, and those
Hmm.
citizens have been accepted by those countries, host countries, as on a visa or a long term visa or PR. So both sides benefit from that equation. And if an Indian citizen is harmed in, let's say, the US, India has all the right, or if and there are express restrictions on what kind of Indian diaspora. So for example, PR non-citizens in the US cannot vote, cannot contribute to election funding, right? But
Hmm.
citizens can. Now, if so, the effect of influence would be almost non-existent, at least in terms of money or even campaigning. Uh, in the case of a Indian citizen living in the US, than with a hypothetical dual India US citizenship. So, I mean, that adds a layer or two of complexity, which I am not sure, given our stage of development and our state capacity, we are ready to kind of handle.
Oh, yeah, I do agree on the point of state capacity that, we have many other problems to solve, and probably solving for dual citizenship may not be our top priority at this point. So I do agree with you on that point.
Yeah. Um, so to just bring this to a conclusion, or if there are more points to debate, of course we can. But yeah, just to talk about this a little more, or yeah, to just put all the things together, we're looking at it from an individual point of view, right? What is it for an individual in terms of dual citizenship? So what, but in public policy we have to look at it in terms of what do countries gain, what do countries lose, right, by giving this dual citizenship out. So what do you think I mean, as an Indian, as India as a nation, what do you think we will gain by giving out dual citizenship? Are there specific plus points? I, for one, think that you will make your borders a little more. I mean, you are a little more open, so you have more people probably coming in to set up businesses, and therefore they will have other uh, ripple effects.
Yeah.
But I think to a large extent, this is taken care of by the OCI card. Am I right?
Exactly. So I think I want to clarify that, like obviously there has to be incentives for people who have gone abroad, Indian diaspora, or the people who want to like maybe still be based abroad but want to contribute to their home country or country of ancestry. So that is why, the US green card, for example, is a specific use case for the US context, and the Indian OCI card is in the Indian context, where if you had Indian ancestry, despite being a non-Indian citizen, you can still kind of, I mean, almost all the rights are available to OCI card holders that are available to a citizen, except, I mean, to be able to vote or to run for elections. So tax benefits, ability to like buy land or property here, ability to be like taxed favorably. So all of those things, I think, are something that we should be careful. I mean, we should be careful that all of those rights, sorry, all of those benefits are being given already. Why would somebody, let's say, want to keep their citizenship, right? Even state wise, I mean, state can gain revenue. State has to be able to make sure that that policy does not impinge on its ability to function, and it does not get unduly influenced by people who are not its citizens. And in all these three cases, I think dual citizenship is not something that is preventing India from earning revenue, because again, if you have an OCA card, you have made it almost as easy to do business, or at least the context in which an OCA card holder operates and an Indian citizen operates is similar. We can obviously make process easier. That's fine. And then the issue of being able to the issue of state capacity, like will we be able to handle this policy, which we discussed, that the state capacity is an issue. So not sure if we'll be able to handle that. And the third one is of is there a risk of being influenced unduly, in which I think the concern, which is my biggest concern, is allowing people to vote or to stand for elections while they are a citizen of some other country as well. I think is something that, like, again, with a country with so much of like diversity and fault lines and everything, it becomes a lot more easier to exploit those divisions. So yeah, that would be like my three broad points.
Yeah, at this point, I think we should take a break, and we'll come back to hear from Khyati what she thinks about these things. We'd also like to remind our listeners that at Takshashila, we do various other initiatives. We have a policy school where we run courses for public policy. You can look at school.takshashila.org.in and enroll for our 3-month or our 48-week course. We also have the Open Takshashila platform where all kinds of open discussions are on around public policy, events around public policy are conducted. So hop on to either of these and just delve into the world of public policy. We'll come back after the break.
Stay tuned to All Things Policy. We'll be right back after a short commercial break.
Welcome back, and we are discussing the issue of dual citizenship. Is it really an issue, or should we look at it from a finer lens, or what it is? We've been having these discussions about pros and cons of dual citizenship, and Saurabh has made his 3 points about why it may not be the best route to go at this point in time, at least. And Khyati, your call on this.
Yeah, so Saurabh made an interesting point about how the OCI card uh, when an Indian citizen wants to change their citizenship, they can still hold on to the OCI card. And in that sense, they can continue to have a long-term visa and they can come to India anytime. And, they can come and even purchase a property, stuff like that. I think they are at par with non-resident Indians in that sense. So that's a valid point. And I think that's a gesture that the Indian government has done in the recent times. I think there was a PIO card earlier, and then they have moved to.
Started with the PIO and then has moved to this.
Yes, and I think now they are phasing out the PIO completely, and OCI is going to be the main. So definitely, this is a move towards providing a good alternative to dual citizenship. However, I would say that this again, this the term is overseas citizen of India, but OCI is not citizenship at all, right? So in times of crisis, things may change, and in such situation it is always possible, and it's within the remit of the government that they would give priority to the Indian citizens and not to the OCI card holders. And we saw a situation like this pan out during the COVID lockdown when there was a travel ban. There were a lot of these threads on Twitter where people reported that there are two Indian citizens who are working on long-term visas in the United States, who are trying to come back to India because their visas are expiring over there. But their child, who may be an Indian, who may be a US citizen because of their birth over there, they were not able to travel because they were OCI card holders. So this is a unique situation which tells you that, finally citizenship is citizenship, and OCI card is probably something less than that for sure. To the point of I think it is important. I mean, it is inevitable that if you are giving dual citizenships, a country may choose to put some restrictions on the kind of things a person holding dual citizenship can do or not. So, for example, not allowing them to stand for election is a legitimate concern that they can have. But I mean, something like this can probably affect a very small amount of people, and we can most people are not going to stand for election, right? Even for a government job, you can say, okay, if you want to take a government job in India, then you need to give up your other citizenship. I think that would be a fair demand if the state wants to make that. On the case of voting, I feel, if a dual citizen of India and United States, if that person is living in India and wants to vote in India, there should really be nothing wrong with that person influencing the election, right? How much is one vote going to influence the whole election, right? And that person is living in India. So I feel even voting right, I don't really see that much of a issue with giving voting rights to people, because as long as they are citizens of India, that's one vote that you are influencing, right? And you are also connected to India in that sense. So I think that would be my point on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think voting also is connected to residency. I mean, if you
In
are
many countries,
residing in
yes.
a particular area, the outcomes, or you should have a say in the outcomes of things that go around over there, right? So, like, say, public health, public roads, all of that. It shouldn't matter whether you are a citizen of that country or not to vote, if as long as you're living there and paying taxes over there. So anyway, I think this is a conversation that will gain traction as we go along. There will be multiple views on this, and nothing is black and white on this issue as of now, at least. But I'm sure this thought process will evolve as we go along. So I hope we have given our listeners some food for thought on this topic, and everybody can make informed opinions about this itself. So thank you, Saurabh, and thank you, Khyati, for being on this show. And hopefully we'll meet some other time for another show. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Suman.
If you liked our show, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can tune into them on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow IVM on social media. The handle is @IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And hey, if you'd like to dive into Takshashila's research on technology, strategy, and economic affairs, check us out at our Twitter handle @takshashila INST or our website takshashila.org.in.